how's it going? Welcome back to the fourth part in my series where I'm looking through this box of old school coloured rares from Magic. Old school being before 2019 generally. Cards all the way back. There's some old stuff in there. There's some like mid 2000s. We're just kind of going through. I don't know most of these cards. I don't know where most of them came from, but they've found their way into my possession. Last time, in part 3, I took like 5 minutes to get started, which was a bit egregious. So, let's have a little tap on the box, see how that feels, and then I've got a nice little wedge from in here to go through, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully some good stuff in there. Alright. Let's kick off with a classic from Kaladesh, and it still makes its way into many cubes these days. That card is Scrap Heap Scrounger. It's a 2-mana artifact creature, 3/2. That's pretty good. Can't block, that's kind of bad. 1 and a black, exile another creature card from your graveyard. Return Scrap Heap Scrounger from your graveyard to the battlefield. Card is great. Card is great. 2 mana 3/2. You're always going to be sending in with it. It can't block. Aggression, aggression, aggression. More cards in your graveyard. 1 and a black. It's back on the battlefield. Not tapped, not anything. It's just there. You can use it as a resource if you want to sacrifice it, or the end of your opponent's turn. 1 and a black. Exile another creature. Guess who's attacking you again next turn? Scrap Heap Scrounger forever. I would always take this card in draft. I mean, it's... Yes, you want to be able to pay that black cost. But 2 mana 3/2. Any aggressive deck wants that. No. There's some stuff I've taken out of the Mythics deck here. Oh, this one's always good. Charm Breaker Devils. 5 and a red for a 4/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Charm Breaker Devils gets +4/+0 until end of turn. For me, I always like chaos and randomness in my games, and certainly in Magic. So, in a deck where you're filling up that graveyard with instants and sorceries, having a chance to get a random one back, I love that. And the fact is, you can cast any instant or sorcery and give this thing +4/+0, and you're going to be getting an instant or sorcery back every turn. It's often attacking as an 8/4, a 12/4. Doesn't have trample, which is painful, but I love that card. It's not very good, by the way, I don't think. It's not bad, but there's a reason why it's not in that deck anymore. There's a lot of words on that card. They're pretty boring. Here's a classic. I don't think it's really played anymore. But for a while, Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter was a really important part of Modern. It's a land from Innistrad. You can tap it to add 1 generic mana to your mana pool, or you can sacrifice Ghost Quarter, destroy target land. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle his or her library. So you can play Ghost Quarter, destroy their man land, utility land, maybe even just a 2 mana, like a shock land or something like that. Now they do get to go and replace that land with a basic land, but still. Ghost Quarter was probably part of a Merfolk deck that I had. I would have thought so. That's probably why I've got them. And the best part is if your opponent was running no basic lands, then it just acted like a I was going to say wasteland, but probably a strip mine, where it just destroys the land because they can't go and replace it. Here's another classic card that I'm sure a lot of you will know. That card is Thragtusk. When Thragtusk enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. When Thragtusk leaves the battlefield, you create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Not bad on a 5 mana 5/3 body. Enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life already. Then when they manage to kill this thing, you're still left with a 3/3. The thing with Thragtusk is, if you can flicker it, that is to say, exile it from the battlefield and then return it, suddenly you just got yourself a 5/3 with a 3/3 alongside it because it left the battlefield, and then you just gained another 5 life. If you can keep on doing that, the game will be over very quickly. Love me some Thragtusk. Here's a card that speaks to how bad removal was in Standard a while ago. Vraska's Contempt. I believe this was pretty widely played. It's not a bad card. And if there are a lot of Planeswalkers running around, then you can take care of them as well, but you're still paying 4 mana for exile target creature or Planeswalker. You gain 2 life. Tend to prefer your removal a little cheaper than 4 mana. Here's a card I do quite like. So Grixis, blue, black and red is my favourite 3 colour combination in Magic. And Jeleva, Nefalia's Scourge, I think it's a commander card. It's a 4 mana, but not an easy 4 mana. 1 blue, black, red for a 1/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top X cards of his or her library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Jeleva. When Jeleva attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery card exiled with it without paying its mana cost. Now the thing with Commander, right, is if your controller dies, it goes back to the command zone and you can pay its casting cost +2. So Jeleva comes in, X is 4, the next time X is 6, 8, 10, etc. And then you're pretty quickly shredding through their library too. And when she attacks, you can... obviously your library is included there as well. So let's say X is 4, you're playing against 3 other people. You've just got 16 cards to look at. And if she attacks, which she very rarely does, but if she attacks, you get one of those 16 cards, you get to cast it for free if it's an instant or sorcery. Okay. It's a cool one. Legion's Landing from Ixalan. Ixalan. 1 white mana. When Legion's Landing enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with a lifelink. If you attack with 3 or more creatures, then you transform it. Transforming meaning turn it round. Down to the first fort. This becomes a land that adds 1 white to your mana pool. Then you can pay 3 and tap it to create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Card is great. You play it, you get a 1/1 white creature token with lifelink, which isn't the most exciting game piece ever, but it's useful. And then you attack with 3 more creatures, and now you've got an additional land and the ability to create 1/1s every turn. It's a cool card. Got these nice pink sleeves there. Have a very wide range of mismatched sleeves. Very frustrating. If you like consistency, someday I'll have the time to go through all these cards and organise them, but I have no idea when, and I probably won't. Okay, in the lovely pink sleeves, we've got Huatli, Warrior Poet. 3 red, white for a mythic Planeswalker from Ixalan. She's got 3 loyalty. You can give her +2. You gain life equal to the greatest power amongst creatures you control. That is not particularly special. 0, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. And -X. Hartley Warrior Poet deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage this way can't block this turn. And as far as I recall, that would be its main use. That is, maybe bring her into play. Maybe +2, gain a bit of life, protect her, and then -X, X being maybe 4 or 5, and pinging all of their creatures, 1 each, and they can't block, and 3 you go, game over. Card kind of sucks though. I think there's that real boring period of time where the Planeswalkers weren't that interesting, and I do think Huatli falls into that category, I'm afraid. Okay, got some cool cards here. Shambling Pen. It's a land, it ends the battlefield tapped. You can add white or black to your mana pool. Or you can pay 1 white-black and Shambling Vent becomes a 2/3 white and black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn. So I think I spoke about this in the video that I lost, but the nice thing about these cards is they're quite hard to remove. Because anything sorcery speed doesn't do it, board wipes don't tend to do it because they're not creatures. And you got a creature that you can at will turn into a 2/3 and attack. Shambling Vent obviously quite small, but there were many games where Shambling Vent would slowly but surely get the job done. A card that many of you have seen in one of its forms. Elvish Mystic, 1 green mana for a 1/1, add green to your mana pool. I have 2 of them here for some reason. You might have seen this card as Llanowar Elves, Findorn Elves. There's been lots of different versions of it, but 1 green mana for a 1/1 that adds green to your mana pool. On turn 1, there's no better feeling, right? Ramping it up. Oh, okay. I just found 3 more. 5 Elvish Mystics. That's the right number of Elvish Mystics to have. There's another 3. These are the cool sleeves. yourself Haruya. The card inside is a common. It is Vapor Snag. That will be from the Merfolk deck I previously mentioned. 1 blue mana. For an instant, return target creature to its owner's hand. Its controller loses 1 life. So, essentially acts as an unsummon that you're most of the time getting an upside of taking 1 life off of them. In the Merfolk deck, you just wanted to try and get as much board presence as you could to get all the way through and finish the job with your smaller Merfolk. So sometimes just bouncing their 4/4, making them lose 1 life, could be what was needed. Okay, just having a little look at what we've got left. A couple of cards I really want to talk about here. These ones not so much. Okay. First up, we have a card. Yes. This card is 3 blue for an enchantment from Kaladesh. That card is Metallurgic Summonings. So I had a deck back then when I kind of toyed with playing a bit of Standard that had Metallurgic Summonings in. But for me, this is one of my favourite cards. I love it. And we did talk, maybe in the last video, about enchantments that don't really do anything when they come down, and you could accuse Metallurgic Summonings of being that. But let's see what it does for that 5 mana. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create an XX colourless construct artifact creature token where X is that spell's mana value. So you cast a Steam Augury for 4 mana, you get a 4/4. You cast in something more expensive, you get something bigger, but you know, the 1/1, the 2/2, the 3/3, that all adds up. Excuse me. Alright, so you get this down and then you start hammering the opponent with instants and sorceries. The game's going to end quickly with your army of constructs. It does have another ability. 3 blue, exile Metallurgic Summonings. Return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Bear in mind you've been casting loads, right, to get the constructs. You're only going to put this in a deck where you've got a lot of instants and sorceries. You have to control 6 or more artifacts. In general, a deck with a lot of instants and sorceries isn't going to have an awful lot of artifacts, but you'd look for, I seem to remember the deck ran Cultivator's Caravan, 3 mana, tap it, add 1 mana of any colour, and it was a vehicle you could crew for 3, and it would attack as a 5/5. So a couple of mana rocks, things like that would help accelerate you into the Metallurgic Summonings, but in general, you're going to get those artifacts from the constructs you're creating. So let's say you had a couple of mana rocks, you play this, 4 instants and sorceries, get your additional 4 constructs, those 2 mana rocks, then you exile Metallurgic Summonings, and all those cards you cast come straight back to your hand. Didn't often work, but I love this card. Anytime I'd find it in a draft, I would derail everything and be on this plan. I love that card, and I will put it in any deck where I can somewhat justify it. Definitely anything instant and sorcery based in EDH, which I haven't played for years. I mentioned it a moment ago. Steam Augury is an instant. It's 2 blue-red. Reveal the top cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles. Put that pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Steam Augury is a fine card. It's like generally like a worse fact or fiction, because you know that you're going to get the cards that you don't need or want in that situation. You know, however you cut it, maybe there's a card that you would really, really benefit from, and you can split it 1 and 4, and your opponent's either going to give you the cards you really need or 4 cards. But Steam Augury has the classic issue of giving your opponent a choice, which doesn't usually go well for you because they don't want it to. 2 more cards for tonight. Slightly shorter video this time, but that's fine. We've got another 2 videos left in us, I think, that I will do next week or the week after. This one is, I think it still shows up in cube sometimes. 1 and a white for the Tocatli Honor card. This one is foil. It's a 1/3 from Ixalan. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. So, I'm not necessarily going to be able to find a card right now, but any card that says when X enters the battlefield, do this, that won't happen. When a card says when another creature, certain type of creature, enters the battlefield, do X, that doesn't happen. So 1 and a white for a 1/3 essentially, but against the right decks it completely shuts it down. So Tocatli Honor Guard usually sits in the sideboard. You bring it in the right opportunity, the right moment. You can play that on turn 2, and your opponent might go, I can't beat that. Much like Metallurgic Summonings, Marionette Master was one of my favourite cards in Kaladesh Draft. 4 black, 4 black for a 1/3. That's not very good. But it has Fabricate 3. When this creature enters the battlefield, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Or create 3 1/1 colourless servo artifact creature tokens. So, what does that mean? This can enter the battlefield as a 4/6, or it can enter alongside 3 other 1/1s. Then it has this ability. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So, depending on your situation, you can either bring in the 3 1/1s that you might have some other use for, and when any of them die, Marionette Master will deal 1 damage to your opponent. Well, they will lose 1 life. Or, if you have other artifacts already, you can bring the Marionette Master in as a 4/6, and when any of those other artifacts die, she will cause your opponent to lose 4 life. So, generally, you'd want her as a 4/6. And then have some artifacts that you can maybe attack with that will cause your opponent to either go, well, I'm either taking damage from them, or I'm going to kill them and then take damage from the Marionette Master. I love this card. It creates really interesting board states. It's a really interesting decision to be made. And if it isn't clear enough, I loved Kaladesh Draft. I think they did a remastered Kaladesh Draft, which was a mix of Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, and that's fine. I think I played a little bit of it and I thought it was cool, although maybe I'm thinking of Amonkhet. But I just really liked Kaladesh Draft. I think it maybe was a time in my life where I was really engaged with Draft, and that's when I went to the London GP, and I've definitely already told this story before, but maybe it was on the video that was deleted, or you got to listen to it again, sorry. But yeah, I went to London GP, which is where I opened my masterpiece Soul Ring, which was cool, but I just loved going off the rails in Kaladesh Draft, getting Prophetic Prism, creating some horrible mana bases, and just playing all the good cards I could find. Yeah. Okay. thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me tonight and look at some magic cards. I hope you'll join me again for parts 5 and 6. I'll speak to you again soon. Please do leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you want. I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.